Hello, and welcome to Magic is Gathering. My name's Kevin Harlan. I'm the host of the show. I am a creative producer for Card Kingdom, and welcome to, well, temporary Card Kingdom studios in my house because we're in Seattle, which is under a stay at home order to help us combat COVID 19 as it continues to spread across our country and across the world. However, today we're celebrating Magic is Gathering. Magic gathers every day when we gather together under normal circumstances to play Magic together across the table, around the table with each other, or online. But right now, we're not able to do so with a lot of social distancing or stay at home orders across the country and across the world. So instead, we're gathering online to support each other as a community, to provide a platform where we can share the stories of creators within the Magic universe, whether they're cosplayers or artists, designers, LGS owners, to share how they've been impacted by COVID. And we also want to hear how you, our audience, has been impacted too. It's important that we share these stories and let it out and let our community support each other and let us continue to support our community. Today, we have a really wonderful guest that I'm very excited to introduce, and we started a little late because we were chatting so hard. Magic artist, Andrea Radeck. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. So, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us here on Magic is Gathering. Before we get really rolling, though, I told everyone that you're a Magic artist, but I'd love for you to share in your own words what you do for Magic, all the different jobs you do.
Gosh. My first set was Unstable. Prior to doing any sort of Magic the Gathering stuff, I did approximately 1 million parody playmats and stuff through Star City Games for 5 years.
Yep, I have a few of those.
Yeah. No, I have a big bin. I actually have two large bins just full of playmats, and one weighs 60 pounds and the other one weighs 26 pounds. And
you know that very specifically, so I assume that is correct.
One is very full, one is a lot smaller. No, those playmats weigh a ton. But yeah, no, I was in-house with SCG for 5 years, and then I started doing work for Magic, and then now I'm freelancing and doing lots of silver bordered cards. I have what's it called? Thaumaturgist Familiar is my blackboard card in Theros. And then I'm doing some more work for them in a month or two. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you can't share with us what those new things coming up. I won't even ask. But out of all the tokens and cards that you've created, what's your favorite? What do you find is kind of iconic of your style?
So I live a kind of double life right now. I have the stuff I did for Star City Games is very cutesy and everything, and that was sort of a style I was trying to blend in with their previous illustrator style, who Liz Nugent was our previous illustrator. So I was originally supposed to be like a Band-Aid over it.
Sure. A ghost artist.
Be able to tell that it was my stuff in there, and then people started getting to know me for that. So I have one side where it's very cutesy, and my iconic stuff with that. I did Tassiper. Everybody loves Tassiper. I still have. I think it's down to maybe once every 2 months, which is good because I did Tassiper 5 years ago. That somebody like emails me for like the file so they can print a few off for them and maybe a couple friends.
That sounds legit.
No. They're like, I won't sell it online. I'm not gonna do anything. Just no, I'd be sued, from here and back. So Tassiper is very iconic. I did the Miri and the Rigo Caracal through the Secret Lairs recently. Those are pretty iconic. And then on my other side, at least in terms of Magic, I have very normal fantasy art. So the Thaumaturgist Familiar is more indicative, of the regular work that I would do outside of that. So
sure.
Those are my main ones.
Nice. Well, we here at Card Kingdom especially love you because you created a series of tokens for us, cat tokens. Late last year, we started releasing those at the end of the last year. You had the food token, which of all of these is my favorite. Just really wonderful. I saw on your Twitter that you said you made sure to include all the cat foods on that table, which very appropriate. A little bit of salmon, a little birthday cake, everything that cats eat.
Mhm.
We also have Merfolk, and you did a really cute knight token for us, which is really sweet. I love all of your work, so it's really wonderful to have you on.
Thank
Um,
you. Appreciate
so
it.
I'd love to give you an opportunity to kind of share your story. As a magic artist, a lot of people may think that, oh, you just, you're in a studio somewhere, you're doing that art, you're all on your own, COVID won't necessarily impact you. But um, has COVID impacted you? And if so, how did that come about?
So I had the honor of very, very likely getting COVID on March 5th. So
Okay.
I went to Magic Fest Reno and had a gentleman that probably didn't know he was, well, he was coughing a lot, so maybe he knew he was sick, but I don't think he intended to just, spread about, but he did cough on the top of my head for about 2 or 3 minutes. And for some reason I got sick about 5 or 6 days after that.
Yeah.
And for literally most of March, and I still have a little bit of a honk left. Literally most of March I slept and would kind of pull myself together.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I've been doing like comic pages and I've been painting when I really should have been resting, but most of March I slept through for the most part. I was under self quarantine when I started feeling sick.
Yeah.
I developed pneumonia and really had to stay home because people are not, they're not going to ask questions if you're out in public and you're coughing. So
Yeah.
I feel like I would have made people very uncomfortable, even though it's like, no, it's just bacterial pneumonia. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I might have had it. Unfortunately in the state of Ohio, they really don't test. They mostly it's first responders, police officers, and doctors that can get tested. And unless you like go to your specific doctor and he feels that you are in like a dire need of a test, then you can get tested. So
Yeah.
we have very, very little testing here. So my best word is that I had 4 or 5 doctors go, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems you've been sick for a month. You developed complications and stuff from it. That's all really in line with how this whole thing works. So I'm a pretty stubborn person, though. The actual me actually being sick, like the way COVID goes, is that the initial sickness really isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like I'm currently, I want to say detoxing, but I'm trying to like cut caffeine out because I'm already anxious and jittery as it stands. I don't need caffeine.
Yeah.
And if you've ever tried to cut coffee out of your life, then it kind of felt like that, where it's called malaise. You just kind of feel crappy, and then you just kind of have a constant headache, and then you have these weird, like kind of low up and down, like fever.
Okay.
Your fever will spike a couple degrees and then just go back down 20 minutes later. So the actual, like when I was actually sick, I was still working. I finished a full piece in that time. I started doing a bunch of comic pages because I was like, heck, I'm at a quarantine. I'm just gonna start.
Sure. Keep working.
Yeah, I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna work here in my apartment. And then when the pneumonia and stuff hit, then that hit me like day 6 or 7.
Okay.
That really cut in production quite a bit.
Sure.
Pneumonia is no fun. I don't know if you've ever had pneumonia before. It just like steals the life from your bones. It is not pleasant. So it definitely affected me then because I just spent most of that time sleeping. I was just, I'm one of those weird people that I have cable for some reason. I really shouldn't. I should really get rid of it. I recorded so many episodes of like Cops and Live PD. So I was just churning through those through the days and stuff. And,
Yeah.
Feeling better now and
Good.
everything, which is good.
Yeah,
but
you're sounding a lot better. I do want to say I'm really happy that it sounds like you're on the downswing of this. I'm sure that it's still not easy, and there's a lot of complications that continue to come up. So I'm glad to hear that you're healthy and that we are going to have more cute cat cards coming up in the future, among other wonderful things that you're going to bring us. Yeah. Now I know a lot of people out there in our country and across the globe still think that this is not that serious of a thing, that it is just like the flu. As somebody who's had it, if there's what would you say to somebody who, was saying to you, "I'm not afraid, give it to me. I'll fight it off. It's just like the flu."
just inject it right. No, I was like that, honestly. because the only thing that any of the other artists and stuff talked about at GP Magic Fest, sorry, Reno, was do you think COVID is going to bring down Magic Fests? And it did by Detroit and stuff. It had totally taken it down. I was on that same table too. I was just like, you know what? I've got allergies. I've got an overactive immune system. Screw it. Bring it on. And friends will tell you, the first round of that, when we were kind of like, oh, maybe, they, I was like, this is nothing. Everybody's, they're just not worrying about, or they're over worrying. They're too worried about this type of thing. I'm a pretty healthy person. I don't smoke. I very rarely drink. Mostly at Magic Fests I drink, but otherwise I really don't drink. I do a lot of, I'm very active. I do a lot of kayaking. I do a lot of hiking. And this thing took me down. Like it unfortunately, and there have been some people, and usually people, I'm 33, in their 30s where, they have that carefree type of lifestyle thing where it's like, screw it. I'm a power through this. And it really, really messes them up. Like I saw something, there's a good percentage, or a noticeable percentage of people that are on like ventilators at the hospital are like in their 30s, which is, ugh. So I have a very good immune system. I am very active and everything, and it crashed my immune system. That's the only way that stuff like pneumonia is able to get through, because pneumonia is a bacteria that's kind of ever present on everything that we have. It's a staph or a strep. So it's always around. So you're only going to get it if your immune system is crappy enough at that time.
Yeah, I can't fight it off.
Right. So, and especially that I got a bacterial pneumonia as a secondary infection. Ooh. Yeah, it really surprised me on that too. I have a 92-3-year-old grandmother who, she's got, I think, genuinely like 5 stints. She's on so many different medications and everything, and she's essentially been in isolation for the entire month.
Yeah.
I've got a dad who's had 3 heart attacks. He's very high risk at this type of thing too, and I could absolutely see how this takes down people, because it really comes out of nowhere. People get a false sense of security with the first part of it being lame. For lack of a better term, it's lame. It sucks. It's not that impressive, but it's what it does to you after that really takes you down and stuff. So I thought that way too. I thought that it was not a big deal. Well, not a big deal, but I thought it was
overhyped, overblown.
Yeah, a little bit that like, oh, it's just people over worrying about the flu type of thing. And no, it's really not something to mess with. I still deal with, I have to go back to the doctors in a couple months to see if I have permanent scarring on my lungs from those. And I got big lungs as it stands, so I don't think it's really going to come back if there is. But yeah, the second time that I went to the doctor, they were like, well, it's kind of the type of disease where we can't do anything.
Yeah.
So hope you survive. And hope it works out for you. And it's just, doctors have to be so incredibly frustrated with this too.
Yeah.
So.
And it is still so early in this to our viewers, doctors don't necessarily know what the long-term effects of this will always be. I've read a lot of reports of healthy 30-year-olds or 20-year-olds and older people developing heart disease after recovering from this, or having severely scarred lungs, severely reduced immune systems. It's nothing to joke about. It may not hurt you, but you might be one of those asymptomatic carriers that is carrying out and, giving it to your grandparents or your parents or your friends, your community. So, please listen to science and listen to Andrea, most importantly, that it sucks.
I went to school for 2 semesters for science. You got to listen to me. I'm very knowledgeable about this type of thing.
That's why the cat tokens look so realistic. I knew it. I knew there was a reason behind it. But yeah, listen to your community, listen to science, stay at home. Do everything you can to flatten the curve so that we all can get past this. And, the world may never be the same, but we are all going to recover. in the long run, if we do our part, and we want to make sure that everyone can.
Yeah.
But well, most of all, though, I do want to say I'm just so genuinely happy to hear that you're past the worst of it, and that you were able to recover, you were able to quarantine, and that nobody else in your community or that in your personal family got it. I hope that Grandma Radeck is doing good. Send her our love.
She tells me about the wonders of, she's never had anybody deliver groceries to her before, so she's like, a woman came by and she dropped groceries off, and I asked if she wanted to come inside, and she refused. No, my grandma's great. She's awesome.
Well, with that darkness, although Grandma Radeck really just lightened everything up in a really wonderful way, but we want to take a break away from all this too to have a little bit of brightness. So we are going to play a little round of Debate Watch. So Andrea and I already know the topic of our debate. How this works is each of us have chosen a Planeswalker. I have chosen Chandra. Andrea, who did you choose?
Jace the Mind Sculptor, better than all.
Jace the Mind Sculptor, very specific.
Sorry, that's a Patrick Chapin song reference. I don't know if you've ever heard that song.
I have not, but now I'm gonna have to go on it. All right. How this works is I'm going to start since it's Card Kingdom's show, and then we'll switch over to the other side and let Andrea destroy my argument. But I'm going to have 60 seconds to argue why Chandra is the best at whatever topic this is that we're going to share with you in a moment. We both know what this topic is. After both of those minutes, we're going to have 60 seconds to give you, our audience, whether you're watching here on Twitch, you can answer right away, or if you're on YouTube, just throw out whoever you think was the better arguer, or if you have a better answer, feel free to drop that in the comments, both in chat or below the video. Probably Andrea. It's going to be okay. And then we'll see who wins. And what do we win? Nothing. Just fake internet points or real internet points. Either way, it doesn't really do anything.
The other person will clap for the winner. How
yeah.
about that?
Okay. All right. That's great. And we've got Lavinia the 10th here between us to oversee everything and make sure that the time is all doing it. So the topic of debate tonight, which I'll be starting. Who is the best Planeswalker to share quarantine with, or stay-at-home order? Chimera, yes. Chat, I know how to say that word. I do now. I learned anyway. All right, Chandra. So I'm going to put the timer on the board. I will give my 60 seconds. All right. The best Planeswalker you could possibly share quarantine with is Chandra Nalaar. I mean, think about it. She is a flame Planeswalker. Her body is mostly made of flame in almost every artwork you see her. So she could go out. I don't think that any sort of disease, whether it's COVID or anything else, would even be able to exist within her body. So she's safe. So she goes out, gets the groceries, comes back. I mean, granted, the toast is, the bread's a little toasted, but that's okay. Maybe most of your food is now cooked. It keeps the delivery warm while she's dropping it off at the house. So most importantly, she can go out and then come back and be able to bring those wonders from out in the world and do it safely. She can also go out and help other people because it's not like she could be a carrier. But most importantly, once she's in the house, we can just set up a little front room and she could turn it into an autoclave anytime she wants. We just throw the Amazon packages in there. She just goes flame on for a minute, burn a little bit, and boom, you got yourself some perfectly diseased and bacterial goods. So that is why I believe that Chandra Nalaar is the best Planeswalker to share quarantine with. All right, now that was not a great argument, but I'll take it. So Andrea, I'm gonna put the timer off of you. So whenever you're ready.
She would have curdled all my creamer. That's all I'm saying. Jace the Mind Sculptor, he can illusion himself and you, whatever the heck you want. You want to go to Palm Beach for GP Palm Beach, then you can go there, And he's all about the mind tricks. He knows he's got I'm just looking at the card. I have the card on the other screen as him, expectant. His hands, he's always got gloves. I think he has gloves on, I'm not sure. But he can literally you can do whatever you want. It is goddamn Candyland. You can go where you please. You can experience whatever the hell you want. And he's not going anywhere. He's got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
He's all about the mind tricks, He wants to get better and sculpt more minds, So that's he's basically he'll know if somebody's got, he can mind read somebody if they're sick at your door, and he can, astral project.
That is time. That is time for your argument. So, chat, it's up to you to vote who of either Chandra or Jace you believe are the better option. You can put that in chat if you're here watching us live on Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and throw it in the comments down below. You can argue why both of our choices are totally wrong and their arguments are terrible, which they probably were. Or you could say, well, Jace actually is a good choice. Or Chandra, I don't know. So we're going to put 60 seconds on the clock where we can ask each other some questions and try to rebut each other's arguments. And first off, Andrea, I want to just say, you only want to share quarantine with Jace the Mind Sculptor because he's good at drawing cards.
I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I mean, he can work from home, but, he's wearing those gloves, but is he washing those gloves? I'm pretty sure he's wearing those gloves in a lot of the artwork.
Fabric's only going to transfer so much COVID-19 to the next year. There's only so much surface area. I want to talk about Chandra boiling all your ice cream by the time you get home.
Well,
because, one, it's 80 degrees here today. I don't know how warm it is over there. I do not want Chandra sitting in my house because it's 82. I'm sorry. In my apartment right now,
you get her a cooler. I mean, you have to get a new one each time because she's going to melt it. But
spots that she can sit into. And I'll close it because I do not need her heat here anymore. So I don't want her destroying. I mean, it's almost a summer fun time. I don't want her melting my ice cream. I don't want her curdling my milk. I don't want her melting all my very precious shredded cheese. I don't know if you've gone to the grocery store. For some reason in Ohio, no shredded cheese.
Well, time is up. You've made some really good points. I've got a lot to think about Chandra now. I'm starting to second guess, but nope, I'm not. I'm unsecond guessing because I still think mine was best. So chat, it's up to you. Go ahead and throw your answers into chat. Who you think made the better argument, whether it is Chandra or Jace. We do have one vote for Chandra and one vote for Jace being an intolerable pedantic nerd. So
well, that's why you mind sculpt your way away from Jace, because he is a pedantic nerd.
I think here's the thing. I think that Jace is always there.
Is he?
You're right, because he did buff himself up as an illusion, so maybe he could just make himself more palatable.
There's not enough muscles to cure an insufferable personality, though. And yeah, I have heard that Jace's. I would mind sculpt. Jace would be stuck here at my apartment, but I would be whisked away to a mountainous.
I would be like, Jace, look, I need you to create this island with a lot of animals on it, and I'm going to do a lot of digging. Yeah.
And you stay away.
Yeah, just you stay in the corner. Stay in the house. You're over with Tom Nook. I don't want to talk to you anymore. All right. Well, thank you so much for debating with us today, Andrea. Let's kind of bring it back to chat a little bit more about Magic creators, artists in particular. During all this, I know the community is really interested in figuring out how we can continue to support creators within our world, whether they're cosplayers, content creators, artists, developers, designers, LGS owners. So for somebody who might be watching this video, what is a few ways or the best way that they could support you, or more broadly, any Magic artists that they want to see survive and thrive through this period?
So a lot of Magic artists have some sort of print store, some sort of online store where you can get merchandise and stuff through. That's always going to be good for everybody. For me personally, and from a lot of the other Magic artists that I've seen, they've either started Patreons or they have a Patreon. And I know from the many endless emails that I get from all the stupid websites that I'm subscribed to, at least through Patreon, they've had a big surge in people going on there and supporting creators. And myself, I went up by, I think, 14 patrons in like a week after this whole thing kind of closed down, and people have been really supportive through there. And right now I do a comic, and that I would say it makes about 80% of my costs right now, which is good. I mean, prior to doing any of this, I was saving up for a house, and I was really tempted to open up for commissions, and I might still do some commissions, but my feed on Twitter and anywhere else that I have an account is full of other artists who are usually part-time, who need to rely on art as their full-time. So I would suggest giving them money. I'll be fine on my little wallet of cash, no house this year, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I would say Patreon is really good at helping people out, especially now, and just supporting people through commissions. Everybody's got the time for it now, and especially people who have just recently lost their jobs. And I'm fortunate enough that I freelance and I work from home, and now everybody else knows how much working from home sucks. So
yeah, I have a cat literally banging on the door behind me right now, trying to get into this room.
Oh God, yeah, I have a cat that I didn't realize that anytime you stop looking at them, they go to the one door that goes to like the water heater, open it, run away, drive nuts all day. But I would say that supporting people especially people that have just lost their jobs, or they're in unemployment right now, or other magic artists and stuff, I'm fine. I've got my comic. I write everything with it, and I do everything with that comic, and that makes me happy right now, and things are good for me right now. But yeah, if you want to support your artist, Patreon is probably the best way, or merchandise sales. So.
Yeah, and I know in our community we do, I want to be aware of a lot of those people that may also be having a hard time themselves, and I want to speak directly to them. That doesn't, you don't have to necessarily support monetarily a lot of these artists or creators. Sharing their stuff on Twitter when you see a piece of artwork that you love, or when they have that hot take on whatever it is, help them build their socials following. Share their Patreon, share your love for that creator. That will spread throughout your community. There might be somebody in your community who can support them, and it helps that artist continue to get their stuff out there, and they get to hear and feel that pouring of love back out from the internet when they're like, oh my God, those cat tokens are so great, or, whatever it is they're making. So, please share things as much as possible, support creators, in however they do create. But most of all, just be good to yourself and be good to each other. Yeah. Speaking of doing good, though, I'd love to kind of give you a moment to share. Do you have any stories of specific stuff, whether it's in your personal life, personal community, or your magic community, of something where magic or your community has kind of come together to help do some good through this whole thing, through this pandemic?
So I have a Discord because I used to do a lot of streaming on Twitch myself, and then I just got tired of doing it. But I have a Discord that came from the group, from my Twitch family and stuff there, where we're always sharing like information and stuff with each other. They're always just full of like fun. There's a person, he just posts like bat videos all day, but you need that type of thing. So it's been especially nice through there, where they've been a nice resource for I was looking into at a point trying to donate plasma and blood as a probably survivor that to the FDA and stuff like that. They're doing like drug trials right now, not drug trials, like blood transfusion trials that antibodies from people that have recovered from it might really, really help out people who are like critically sick. And I found that out from I'm going to butcher the hell out of her name, Elena Dlanard. Okay. She's another magic artist. She does these beautiful landscapes and some other cards and stuff too. But she turned me on to that, where I was like, oh, it's just being more active online, and Twitter and Discord and stuff have both become much more helpful communities and stuff out of this, because it's been a way to kind of spread usually helpful information to people that need it and stuff right now. So I really do appreciate that. Like I really appreciate my Discord for being there and always having somebody to either gripe about terrible things happening in the world, or look at bat videos or what have you. So that's definitely strengthened a lot since this all started. Twitter has definitely become a much more helpful place. At least the channels I watch. I keep my head down. Do not go to the political side of Twitter at all.
Yeah, probably smart.
Yeah, God. The artsy, creative side of Twitter has been very helpful. So
Yeah, wonderful. Well, that's really good to hear that your community is kind of banding together and supporting each other. And I want to speak to our viewers and say, help support your own community too. Reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, set up those webcam game nights, whether you're playing EDH over the webcam or you're playing Arena online. Maybe you're playing a board game or Jackbox, or maybe you're just kind of hanging out. I taught my parents how to use Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and they are just like blown away by how cool it is that they can hang out with their kids. The three of us boys spread across the world. Meanwhile, my mom's sewing masks for the hospital. I just think it's really wonderful that we all really take a moment to step back and think about what's important in this life and then support that, whether it's the creators that create that wonderful comic or cartoon or creation art that you love, the videos that you love, the theater or shows that you love, or those frontline responders that are having to help fight off this thing. So support each other, be good. Questions for you. So we're going to start wrapping up, and now that we've had that nice kind of heartwarming moment, we have a few kind of quickfire questions. Andrea, which restaurant are you most excited to go to once all this calms down? Our public eatery.
Public. So it's a chain restaurant, which sounds kind of basic.
Hey,
but
there's no judgment here. There's no judgment.
I'm a simple person. Now, there's two places that I really want to go to. The Foundry, which is my local LGS, and also craft like sours and ciders, stuff. I haven't been there in prior to the quarantine. The last time I played a game of EDH was against a guy with like a $3,000 deck, so kind of soured it for me a little bit. Him and his stupid world ender sword. Thinking, yeah. Go away. Yeah. I miss them. I miss that whole community is super nice, and they have a black cherry cider. Amazing, just absolutely phenomenal. I miss that a lot too. And then the other one, that's not the chain one. The chain one is Condato's, which is at least a Pittsburgh and Ohio, called the Middle East. The Middle East states. It's like a Mexican restaurant. They have really fantastic tacos, but what I really love is their horchata. I'm absolute fiend for horchata. I love horchata. And I miss that. They always have like a nice outdoor patio, and the tacos are really good, and they're like all fried, and I miss them.
Oh yeah, fried food. Tappy Toe Claus and I were talking about this last week because that's what she was most looking forward to. And you just can't fry things at home the same way you can do it when you've got that commercial deep fat fryer. Oh man. Someday. Well, yeah, we will try. Chat, if you also have some places you're really looking forward to getting back to, please share them in the comments, because I think it's important that we focus on that light at the end of the tunnel. To support those local businesses, whether it's your local game store or a local restaurant. They are going to be really hurting when all this is over, and also to provide yourself with a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel of that nice celebration. Let's focus on how things are going to be when we can get back to some sense of normalcy. It's going to take a while, and we're not there yet, but it's important to keep that in mind. So, second question: who is your favorite Magic artist?
So Jesper Essing is probably my favorite Magic artist. I also really like Ryan Pancoast.
Oh, yeah.
He has just the best color palettes.
Yeah.
I absolutely love his style and his color palettes and stuff are just phenomenal with that. Jesper Essing has always been like the person where I'm usually pretty good at meeting people that I really respect, because I learned how to draw from looking at Magic art and stuff. That was my big inspiration for learning how to draw, because I kind of started on this late.
Yeah.
And it is extremely bizarre to just be like, oh yeah, here's Steve Prescott he's a super nice dude, and he's my table mate, and he keeps giving me oranges every day. I'm pretty good at talking with people. I think I would lose my shit talking to Jesper Essing. I think I would totally clam up and just like, oh, how are you doing? And I'd be like, I don't think I'd be able to function.
Wonderful. Well, to all our viewers, go out, check out all those people. I mean, you probably know about all these artists, but take a look at the cards, support them, support Andrea. Final question. When all this is said and done, what public Magic event are you most excited to get back to? Whether that's a big event or maybe it's like a regular EDH night or a draft night. What are you looking forward to public Magic?
I really do genuinely miss Magic Fest for talking with people. Like, I really enjoy, and other artists have told me I'll become bitter eventually, and I won't like it so much anymore. But that I really do genuinely miss talking with people just throughout the day. So it's just, that's whichever Magic Fest is the first one to become visitable. That's the one I'm looking forward to, and also my LGS. I do really miss playing with them. Some of them.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've been getting my magic fixed by playing EDH over the phone with my friend.
Oh, hey, okay, very nice.
But she's been working on some new decks and stuff, and then I have an
Now's the perfect time.
my Emotional Walls deck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a fun time. But yeah, no, I mostly miss talking with people, and I'm really looking forward to when that does become available again, to getting back and talking with everybody. So.
Yeah, having a little bit more of that face-to-face communications. Maybe we won't be handshaking anymore. Maybe not splitting each other's decks, but but just being able to share a room with somebody, share a game with somebody, and share that experience, I think is really important. So with that, we're going to call this Magic is Gathering this gathering has wrapped. Andrea, thank you so much for coming and joining us today, for sharing your story. We're so thankful that you were able to beat this and that you're recovering. I hope that your recovery continues to go well. And to you, our viewers, be safe out there, be good to each other, and thanks for watching.
Yep, thank you very much. All right, bye-bye.